be nice, inshallah. You know, Prophet, you know. So, inshallah, next Sunday, inshallah, we have a vocabulary test. Okay? The key is to learn your vocabulary words. I mean, I cannot overemphasize learn the vocabulary. If you don't learn the words, what's going to happen in a moment, like I said, after lesson 5, Dr. Abdur-Rahman, the book here takes a whole nother twist. It goes into a whole nother gear. You know about driving. I mean, once you get into another gear, I mean, that's just it. And what's going to happen if we don't get the vocabulary words, if they get overwhelming, you're just going to get far behind because all we're going to do is start kicking out terms and terminology and concepts. So we don't have the time because we only have one day. We don't have that kind of time to be sitting waiting on vocabulary words. So you got to get those words. I mean, do whatever you got to do to learn those words. Really, just whatever you got to do, learn those words, practice them. Like I said, this book was not intended to be one all to learn all the Arabic. This book is not with that. That was not the intention of this book. So you're not going to learn Arabic just using this book alone. You have to do other things, and that's in the right environment. You know, people here in America, they use this book as if that's the only thing to learn Arabic, when this is not true. I mean, it's just not true. If it was, I mean, I would be honest and tell you, yeah, we can learn Arabic just with this book alone. But this is a great, great start, this book here. Okay? So we got that out of the way. Okay? So what we can do now is that no tests. No tests. I have no tests. Now, next week we are, though. Okay? Oh, no, not a test. You know, this is so we can do some practicing with some concepts that we've been going on, inshallah. Okay? How do we do, are we understanding those forms a little better?
Yes.
Okay. When we reading text, my thing is, I mean, I love reading books. I mean, I love reading and I love studying. And I mean, in Arabic is, I mean, really, I mean, I don't think, you know, again, I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time, but you can't, in my opinion, and this is based on what the scholars have said, you can't do anything if you want to acquire Islamic sciences without Arabic. You just can't do it. And what happens is that when we only focus ourselves in a grammar book, that's all we get. We get lost only in grammar. So I like to mix it up sometime and actually go to the actual sources, you know, be it the Quran or some other Arabic text. So from time to time, we'll go through some actual texts. And the other thing that we start making preparations for is that in here, you know, we're not able to start speaking much, but we have to try to include speaking. We have to get out of that phobia of not wanting to speak Arabic. You know, we gotta, it's kind of hard, you know, when we're a small group of people, maybe, but, you know, we should try our best to try to start speaking as much Arabic as possible. Okay? So, this here, you know, is, we're going to take a lesson today in analyzing what we read. How do we analyze what we actually read? Okay? Try to pick some things that are that we're familiar with. We have about, I think, 2 or 3 ayat from the Quran and about 1 hadith. 1 and 2 are common phrases that we use all the time. All right? Right? I mean, you know, so I mean, like 1 and 2 don't need any translation from us. But, you know, we want to go over it, you know, from an Arabic perspective. What do we gather from this in relationship to our studies? Okay, right? So everybody can see what 1 and 2 is already, right? Mm-hmm. 1 is called, in Arabic, that's a certain name. Anybody know what's that called? It's the other. It's the other, or a ta'awudh. Ta'awudh. And then number 2 is called al-basmala. Okay? Al-basmala. Okay? So we know 1 and 2 is extremely important for us, especially when we begin reciting the Quran. This isti'adha is important for us when we sense some danger or fear, and we have some apprehension. So we should always return back to Allah. We should seek, protection with Allah, and especially from the shaitan, especially, but and specifically, but in any enemy generally, we should recite the isti'adha. Okay, so. Right now, if we look at this here, we know it starts out with a'udhu. Okay? So, what do we know about this word a'udhu? What would we say about this word? Ali, give me one thing about this word a'udhu. Yeah, Ali?
It's a verb.
Oh, mashallah. Very good. It's a verb. Okay? All right. So he took it there. He said it's a verb. Next. Okay. What type of verb? Someone, Abdur-Rahman, what type of verb?
This is present tense verb.
Present tense verb. So he said it's a verb, fi'l, and it's fi'lun mudari. Right? It's a verb and it's a present tense verb. A present tense verb must be prefixed with what? Sister Vera? That's how we can tell it's a present tense verb. It has to be prefixed with what? Not a factor. No, prefix. Not the vowel. We're only talking about prefix now. Prefix. In other words.
Well, right here is a hamza.
Okay, so that's one thing. Hamza, what else? We're not talking about vowels. Prefix, letters. So we have hamza. A hamza. We call it hamza. Noon, yeah, or ta. That's it. A present tense verb must be prefixed with one of those letters. And by default, the i'rab of the present tense verb is rough or marfu. That's off the cuff that you know about a verb, about a present tense verb. Off the cuff. Once you identify that it's a verb, what kind of verb, right? Because the verb is of 3 tenses: past, madi, present, mudari, and amr. All right. So now that we know that it's a present tense verb, mudari, now what do we look for? We see now that we know a present tense verb must be prefixed with one of 4 letters: hamza, noon, ya, or ta. We can't escape that. We can't escape that. And once you see what the prefix letter is, now you know that tells you who the what is. Who the fa'il is. That's why make sure you identify what the prefix letter is so important. Because once you see what the prefix letter is, now you know your fa'il. And we see now that the fa'il is the hamza, and hamza goes back to ana, the pronoun ana. Okay? So that's a'udhu. What if the prefix, if we wanted the pronoun to go back to nahnu, how would we say this verb now? Na'udhu. Right? This, for our standard, this should be a seamless effort to go from saying a'udhu to na'udhu. What if we wanted the pronoun or the fa'il, the pronoun to go back to anta? What would it be then? Ta'udhu. What if it was going back to huwa? Ya'udhu. What if it was going back to hiya? Ta'udhu. All right. What if it was going back to anti? Good. Ta'udhina. Because anti takes both a prefix and a suffix. Anti takes both a prefix and a suffix. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have a'udhu. Okay. And the verb the fi'l mudari that is, by default, that it's gonna be marfu with dhamma. Okay? However, it could be mansub or it could be majzum. So if we look at this verb, a'udhu, right now it's marfu. Right? So we say it's marfu. Marfu literally means, is from the verb rafa. Rafa means to pronounce the final vowel of the present tense verb in some nouns with a dhamma. That's what it means literally, you know. And grammatically, so we say that the present tense verb is marfu. In order for us to make this here mansub, right, we're going to hold off for majzum for a moment. In order for it to become mansub, there has to be something here. Something has to come in front of this verb. We just don't make the verb mansub just because we like the way fatha sounds. Okay? There has to be something near. Same thing for majzum. Because in i'rab, with the verb, for overall for i'rab, we have four. They are raf, nasb, jar, or kaf,
and majzum. No,
jazm. Jazm. Those are the four. Of these, if we talk about verbs, which ones are attributed to the verbs? Of these four. Raf, nasb, and jazm. So right now we're only talking about the verb right now. So, for fi'l mudari, it doesn't need anything to make it marfu. That's why we say by default it's marfu. It comes out of the gate in the case of raf. But for mansub or majzum, we need something to make it that. Okay? So, for nasb, we can use an. We may see an before the verb. An is going to cause that to become mansub. We may see lan. That's going to cause it to become mansub. We may see K is going to cause it to be mansub. And other variations of K is the word li K or li. Right? So an, lan, or K is going to cause the verb to become mansub. Okay? So if we say, for an example, an a'udha. Right? We can't say, if we say an, we can't keep it marfu. It has, an tells us to make that the verb mansub now. Okay? Okay? So we have an, lan, k. Okay? An, we talked about meanings before for an. What kind of, the an gives takes the verb back to what we call the masdar meaning. To, however you go to the dictionary to find what it means, to, like, a'udhu means, if you go back to the dictionary, it's going to say to seek refuge, to seek protection. An gives it that meaning, irregardless of the fa'il. To seek protection, or to seek shelter. I want to seek protection. Uridu an a'udhu billah. I want to seek Allah's help or protection. See, I want, like if I say uridu, right? If we made a full sentence, if we say uridu, that's fi'l mudari. An, a'u, what? That. I want to seek protection. Billahi, and with Allah. You see? So an gives it that meaning, to, and then whatever the verb itself means. Has nothing to do with, although it literally means I am seeking, in this case it means I, but we don't use the meaning of the fa'il now. An always make it go back to meaning to, and then you bring in the actual action. Okay?
Now, with the verb that follows on, you still conjugate it to.
To whoever, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't change. It's just that in translating or comprehending it, we don't say to I am seeking. We don't speak I. I. That voice isn't coming in now. It's still okay. Everybody understand that? An. So that's an. Lan gives the meaning. It negates the future. We don't want to say this here. I don't want to say that. Right? So I'm not going to say that. So, right? I'll say something like, lan ashrab. Everybody know the verb shariba, right? So if I say ashrabu means to drink, right? Lan ashrab al-qamar, for example. I'll never drink wine, beer, alcohol, right? Lan ashraba. Okay? Okay, right? It's really ashrabu. But if we use a harf of nasb, a particle that causes nasb to come out, that verb has to be mansub now. Okay? So that's an. An negates the future. Okay? K, anybody remember what K means? Or li?
The reason why.
The reason why. Why? Right? Right? Because, it's justification. It explains the reason.
Okay, so it doesn't mean what.
It doesn't mean why. Like if somebody say, for an example, somebody asks a question that has why in it. Like, لماذا تدرس? لماذا تدرس? You hear تدرس. You hear فعل مضارع مرفوع بالضمة. لماذا تدرس العربية? Why are you studying Arabic? لكي, K, li, any one of those, you can say likay, or you can say K, or you can say li. Any one of those. They all have the same meaning. So K, right? All together is likay. I changed this pen. Likay, which is the whole thing, right? This ain't no better. Likay. Okay, likay. Right? Likay or K or simply li. Right? Right? Any one of these three. Okay? You can say K, right? Likay or simply li, attached to the verb. Li is attached to the verb. Whereas K and likay precede the verb. Okay? Any one of these here is the justification. لماذا تدرس العربية? لماذا تدرسين العربية? Right? Whether you're talking to a man or a woman, why are you studying Arabic? لكي أفهم. So that I can understand. Right? القرآن. Right? لماذا تسافر إلى مكة؟ لكي أحج. So that I can make Hajj. So that I can perform Hajj. That's how likay is translated. Okay, but the point is, for fi'l mudari, it comes out the gate marfu. In order for it to be mansub, we have to have a particle of nasb there. We just can't make it mansub. Okay? Everybody with me? All right. And now, to go to majzoom. I held that off for writing it because the thing about majzoom, when you hear this word majzoom, we said jazama Grammatically, it means to what? Put sukoon on the end of the word. To finalize the word with sukoon. We're gonna up the meaning a little bit. If we have sukoon on a word, what does that mean? That means that you hear the letter, but there's no vowel. So you hear the sound. Another meaning of sukoon, or this concept, is, and this happens when we have what we call weak letters in our verb, or even with our noun. But right now we're talking about verbs now. Okay. If we take our verb right now and do this here, if we say, ow, oh, ow, and then based on what we said majzoom means that we put sukoon. Right? So if we say a'udh, right, something is wrong. In Arabic, we can't have two sukoons in a row. If we go back to our reading rules and our reading lessons, we learned that when we have a long vowel, whether we write it or don't write it, the letter itself has the vowel, whether of movement, be it fatha, kasra, or dhamma, but the long vowel itself bears the sukoon. That's how we get the long vowel. This is a reading rule, a basic reading rule. This is how we read. In order to read a long vowel, right? If we say, right? Ba, ta, right? Fa. The only thing is, just for convenience, we just do this or that. But, right? All ba, see, ba with fatha, ba, fatha, right? Aleph sukoon is ba. That means this here. Whether we write the sukoon up here or not, or whether we write nothing at all. That all mean the same thing. Everybody understand? So when you have a long vowel, right, the letter itself actually takes the vowel that complements out. What vowel complements aleph? A fatha. What vowel complements a waw? Dhamma. What vowel complements ya? Kesara. So the letter itself will take the vowel that complements it. But the long vowel itself takes a sukoon. Whether we write it or don't write it, that's how it is. Okay, everybody with me? That's how it is. Right? We know this from our basic reading courses. Right? So, in Arabic, it's not permissible to have two sukoons in a row. It's not permissible. So when we have this scenario, what happens now, this is the other meaning, or the high school version of jazm, majzoom. Because of that, because of the rule of not having two sukoons in a row, something has to give. And what's going to happen is that when you have this scenario, what scenario is that? When something has to be majzoom, but you have a long vowel there, and now we have two sukoons, we lose our long vowel. We lose that wow now. Or it could have been an aleph, depending on the word. Or it could have been a yeah. When something has to become majzoom, and it has a long vowel in it, you lose the long vowel. Okay?
I just want to know, how do you spell majzoom? And that means it ends with a sukoon, right?
Yes. Mim. Majzoom. See? Okay? Everybody understand the rule now? So, in writing this here, if we want to make it majzoom, right? This is how we would write it. Then we would say, I can't write the wow. Why? Because it ends in sukoon. I mean, right? I'm going to get rid of that. Right? But notice, it still retained the vowel. Because that vowel is already on that ayn. On that, right? Because ayn is what takes the actual vowel. The wow is sukoon. And then on my thel, I'm going to put sukoon. A'udhu. You understand how we got that? So what this happens, so majzoom now, it means we end in sukoon, but it also means the removal of the weak letter. Okay? Removal of the weak letter. That's the other meaning of majzoom. It means when, let's say all things even, meaning we don't have any long vowels in the verb. It means to end that verb with sukoon. But as soon as a long vowel comes into play, we have majzoom now means to remove the weak vowel, be it an aleph, waw, or yeah. Okay. So a'udhu. All right. Now we hadn't mentioned some of our some examples of the particles of jazm. Particles of jazm with the exception of lam. We gave you lam. Lam is a particle of jazm. Right? Right? So if you see lam preceding the verb, fi'l mudari, the verb must become majzoom. Lam. Right? Again, we don't want to say lam this, but so we may say something like lam ashrab. Right? I didn't drink. Lam negates the present tense verb with a past tense meaning. Right? I know that sounds strange to some of you. Yeah, I know that sounds strange. You know. But there's a reason for why, you know. Okay?
Say that again.
What? The meaning of lam?
Lamb against, yeah.
Look, if we say, ma dhahaba. Ma dhahaba. Dhahaba is a fi'l madi. Past tense verb, right? Ma dhahaba Bilalun ila al-amal. Amal. Translation, Bilal did not go to work. Right? Ma negates the past tense verb. Without the ma, dhahaba Bilal ila al-amal means Bilal went to work. Everybody see that? Without this here, right? It means Bilal, right? It's affirming it. Right? The man negates it. Okay? Look, if we then say this sentence is the same as saying this. Lam yadhhab Bilal ila al-amal. Okay? Lam yadhhab Bilalun ila al-amal. What we said here is the same as if we said this. They're the same sentence. The only difference is the type of verb we use. So how would we translate this? Bilal did not go to work. So this is why we say lam negates a present tense verb with a past tense meaning.
So you couldn't say mine, yeah.
No. Mad negates a past tense verb. Okay? Abdur-Rahman brought up a good point. Everybody understand lamb now? Mm-hmm. If we say this here, watch. If we say this, because it's not true now. La yadhhabu Bilalun ila al-amal. Translate this sentence now. It had nothing to do with that one. La yadhhabu Bilalun ila al-amal. Bilal, لا يذهب بلال إلى العمل. Look at the verb. Look at the verb.
Yeah,
Oh,
have
he's not going to.
Huh?
He's not going.
He's not going. You see the difference now? Bilal is not going. La negates the actual action.
Okay, that's
You see?
That's he's not gonna be. Yeah.
Right? That's the difference, right? La has no effect on the Arab here. It's not, look, the verb is marfu. So it's not, la here, this la, because we have another la that affects the Arab, but this la has no effect on the Arab. It's only, it's negating the actual tense of the verb. That's it. Not the tense. Bilal is not going.
Okay.
Everybody see it?
Yes.
So this la that has no effect on the Arab only negates the tense.
So each of these three negates something different.
Right. Lam negates. That's why I said it negates a present tense verb
That's
with
what
a past tense meaning.
Okay.
So lam means he didn't do something.
Present tense verb.
Okay? Ma, on the other hand, negates a past tense verb. Right? We don't say, so this means if you say ma dhahaba means he didn't do it. We don't say la dhahaba. We don't say la dhahaba. We don't say that in Arabic. To negate this verb, the action itself. We use a past tense. We use the particle ma to negate a past tense verb.